Hello, everyone, and welcome to another horrific review. Chris and I are back as we search for our pots of gold with Leprechaun 3, directed by Brian Trenchard. Brian Trenchard-Smith actually is one of them double, triple barrel people. An evil leprechaun finds himself in Las Vegas, where he proceeds to cause mischief by killing people, granting twisted witches, and infecting a young man with his green blood. Welcome back. Here we are again.
It's the story that's been told a million times, right?
Be careful what you wish for.
But this one was interesting. So I did a little research or whatever, and it turns out that this was supposed to be the last one because the studio was not happy after Leprechaun 2 did not do as much money as it thought. Leprechaun 1 was like a surprise hit. And so they did Leprechaun 2, and
I forgot to look up the box office for this. I'm an idiot.
Well, no, because it was direct to video, so that you don't get a lot.
Oh, right, this is where it went. Just
But
that's why I didn't see any.
But it was the highest selling independent direct to video film of 1995, selling 55,000 VHS tapes at the time. So this was going to be the last one, because they were not happy with the second one, and they let the director kind of have like free reign to do whatever he wants, basically. And then after this one ended up being like a big hit at the home rental office and whatever home direct to video sales, that's when they decided to keep
Leprechaun in space.
I can't wait to watch that one. That's gonna be ridiculous.
You're gonna love it. But here's the thing: Leprechaun 2 made money.
It didn't make as much as the studio.
No. But sequels never make money. The only sequels that have made more money, I think, and people can quote me if I'm wrong, are Aliens and Terminator 2. That's it. Every other time in cinema, the sequel never makes money. Never makes as much money as the original. That's that's a way of it.
I think some of the animated ones do, but you're right. As far as like live action, it's usually the old rule of thumb was if you can get 70% of the return from the first one, you're doing well.
Yeah, but it still made money. It still made its money, and everyone got a chunk of change in their pocket. Look at today, where movies are losing money, like they're not even breaking even.
Yeah.
The look for that one big tentpole one to like sort of prop them up all year, as every other one goes down the drain. And yeah, they wish they had these problems. So today they wish they had the problems of Leprechaun 2 because
so there's on YouTube, there was like around like 13 or 14 years ago, there was like a mini cast reunion where they did like a showing of this film, and they did like question and answer. And the director Brian Smith was saying that the studio kind of let him have free reign because they thought this was going to be the last one, and I think the product is better because there's no studio interference. Like you can tell,
isn't it? You mean get a creative and trust them to do the job? You hire somebody for the job and trust them just to get on with it.
Yeah,
and judge them on the results.
You could tell it had a unified theme. Like the first movie, it couldn't tell if it was horror or comedy. Like this was totally just daft comedy, and it absolutely worked. I was laughing my ass off watching this one.
There was like a freedom with it, wasn't there? It was just like, we know what we are. We're having fun with us. Come on with us. And God, even the intro, even the Leprechaun appearing is cleverer than any contrived plot.
Yeah.
The hobo brings the leprechaun. He's turned to stone with an amulet around him. We don't know how it's happened. However, it's happened.
Yeah.
It might have been the hobo. It might not have been. There's a whole other adventure out there. This is what sort of happens. This is how the leprechaun turns up. What the, how can you argue with it?
Yeah. And they assume that you've seen the first two at this point. So
but even if you hadn't.
Right. But like they don't throw like unnecessary exposition like a lot of sequels do, where they just go on and on, re-explaining what happened in the previous ones, and like it's almost like on our last episode, this didn't do that. It got right to the action.
If this had been Leprechaun 1, it would have stood up as its own movie.
Yeah.
What else do you need?
Yeah. It's funny. Warwick Davis said that of all, this is his favorite in the entire series. And it was only shot in 14 days. The whole movie was shot in 14 days.
I can see it. You can see his performance as well. He's having a blast.
Yes. Yeah.
And that translates on the screen. I've always said that when you can always tell when there's drama in the background or people are harassed because they can't. Nobody's that good an actor. If you're feeling the pinch or you're not feeling either the script or the property, like I know myself, if I'm reading out a Adobe news article, there's some news articles I am struggling to read out because just the wording and the way it is just doesn't fit with my brain. Other ones
Yeah.
I can read just on one breath and actually get into the article. If that makes sense, it's all about how things are presented to you and how you respond.
The good thing is you hide it really well when you're reading those articles.
That's just good editing. That's like about 6 takes. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'll actually just put it in, going, "What the fuck?"
No, you usually just put it in. Yeah, I'm being sarcastic.
No, there's
Usually
sometimes it's like
you come right and say it.
What the hell is this retard trying to say? I just may as well share my frustrations with it.
Yeah, no, those are my favorite articles, are the ones where you go off on the writer. It's funny.
But it does translate. You could see the struggles with the second one.
Yeah.
And even the actors are like, "What am I meant to be doing here?"
Yeah,
still fun.
Because they don't know.
But this is just 100% from the get-go. Everyone knows what they're there for. Everyone's playing their part. Everyone's enjoying the experience, and I think we all did as well.
For sure. And the cast reiterated that in that mini reunion I saw.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying like they never had so much fun as they did on this shoot. And the director was saying he was having fun just writing the different limericks for he had like a whole bunch more that he wanted to get in that are just but those are some funny ones that Warwick Davis had this this time.
Yeah. So like I said, we got the whole introduction. Pawn shop, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Boo comes in here. I've got this. Dunk sets a mini statue or in a bag of the leprechaun.
Yeah.
An amulet.
Yeah. And we never figured out what the amulet did. We never figured out why he was turned to stone, but
didn't matter.
It works. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Exactly. But I thought that was great, and I like the guy Gupta.
Oh, Gupta, yes, he was great. I was hoping he was going to be the hero of the story.
Oh my gosh, yes, I love when characters are just.
Even though I've seen this before, but you know what I mean. Watching it again, I've seen this loads of times actually, but still, it shows how good it is. Like I was still rooting for Gupta, going, "Oh, I know it's coming," but I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah. Because like usually like the characters that are greedy, you're kind of like rooting against them. You're like, oh god, this guy is such a tool. Like obviously, he's being greedy and he's gonna get killed. But for this guy, for some reason, there was something likable about how greedy he was and how he kept going. Like even when he gets shot in the arm by an arrow,
bitten off and everything else.
It just keeps going. I love it. He's a great character.
Oh god. The fact that he opens the drawer and just happens to have the CD-ROM of narrated folktales.
Why was that there?
Oh god. You remember Windows 95?
Sure.
It was special. It was a special time. God, I remember I got my first Windows 98 PC and it really felt like we're in the modern age now. Windows 95 is horrendous.
Yeah. That was our internet back then, right? Like
no such thing as ad blockers, no protection whatsoever. It was the Wild West.
Yeah. It took you 30 minutes to load something, and then someone else in the house would pick up the phone and like, I got to start over.
I had my own phone line.
Okay.
My own phone line. I paid for it myself. I had a part-time job, so I used it to pay. When I was in college, I had a part-time job, so I used it to pay the phone line because I still stayed at home because it was close. But there'd be a phone downstairs, and my mum was a lunatic. the wee red light come on, it's like, yeah, on the internet again, you watch yourself. No, because obviously all the scary. It's funny you were a weirdo for being on the internet back then. Now you're a weirdo for not being.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just funny how things turn around.
yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. Just it's funny, but that was it. And the only reason the phone was downstairs almost so she wanted to keep tabs on me. You know, there was no reason for it to be plugged in because I had one upstairs. You know what I mean? I bought paid for the line, so it was mine. There's another phone line in the house as well as well. I'll have mobiles as well and pagers. I had actually had pagers back in the day too. It's like a utility belt, you know, all your devices around the belt at the time. But yeah, it was just a different time. But it's funny just seeing those overly processed graphics. You just know it's being superimposed in the top.
Yeah, but
It's
that
like,
was a great purchase. That CD that had a wealth of information on the Leprechaun. It kept going and going the whole movie.
yeah, one click of a button and just pause. Like, never once did that CD stop mid video and go word to reload it
Right?
up because that was a Windows 95 thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What were we talking about? Wing Commander, remember Wing Commander?
Oh, I
And then
love
try and load up the cutscene, and I'd be like, whirr, play a bit, pause, whirr, play a bit, pause.
Yeah. Every time there was like a video cutscene of Freddie Prinze Jr. on Wing Commander, you knew you would have to wait like a half hour to play the game again. The video cutscenes were the bane of that game.
Oh,
But it was fun though.
it was the first attempt at it, anything like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and almost the first attempt at like a choose your own adventure on PC. But
Yeah.
you know, it was clunky and horrible. I always loved Command and Conquer and Dune 2. They're my favorite PC games.
Oh, Doom. Oh,
Dune
yes.
2.
Oh, Dune.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever played that.
Arrakis, basically try and win it with anything apart from Harkonnen and you're stuffed.
Oh, okay. I never played that one.
Yeah, it was busy. It was Command and Conquer, but it was set in the Arrakis.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Oh god, that was a classic game.
I tell you, sometimes those older games are more fun even today. Like sometimes you have like a newer game and it's one of those like open world games and like you get dropped in and it's like, God, there's just too many options. There's too many things to do. I'm just like, I just want like my 2D scroller, like the one that you're playing now with the
Blasphemous,
giant...
yeah. I need
yeah.
I need to reboot this PC. I actually that's weekend's job is to get this factory reset, reformatted, and see if that fixes whatever the hell's going on. I think it's Windows updates is messing the thing up.
Okay.
And something with my Steam download because it's not putting stuff into my partition drive. It's putting everything into my C drive. And then when I tried to fix that last time, that's where I started having these issues.
I understood 5 words of that sentence.
Yeah, stuff.
Me and technology is terrible.
God.
But it is, yeah, there's just something about the old technology which is fun to see. And that CD of the Leprechaun was awesome.
And it was all premonition for the plot and how it was going to progress.
Yeah, it's a fun way to give you that information. Yeah. Poor Gupta.
Oh dear. Then we meet Scott, and right, he's a dingbat. He's just completely harebrained. He may as well have been blonde. How on earth was he going to survive in LA? Never mind Vegas.
Yeah, but there was something very likable about him. As dumb as
I'm not saying he's unlikable, but just as a character, it's like, mate, you're gonna get chewed up and spat out. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. He's lucky he survived, although he barely did. He lost. I like that he lost $23,000 his first time gambling, which is something I can actually see happening.
Like, didn't even just all in. Yeah, do you know what? I'm not gonna take $20 or anything and start off and just have a wee flutter. No.
Right. I'm
just gonna cash everything, and because he'd seen a couple of like professional gamblers winning.
Yeah. That was cool with the magnet underneath. I wonder, does that actually work?
Maybe.
Is that like a real thing? Yeah.
Don't know. I don't gamble, so
Yeah.
Never saw the appeal in it because you've seen my dice rolls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That would be
that's why I don't gamble.
you would be Scott without the magic wish.
Yeah, that's it. You know, I may as well just take the money and set fire to it and save us all a lot of hassle and time.
Yeah.
Just that's something I learned earlier on. Just not one of those naturally lucky peoples. And you know what? It is what it is. Don't get upset by it.
That's why you do good in Call of Cthulhu, right? When you're supposed to roll low.
Yeah, but then again, a roll high. Oh
Right.
god, last night's dice rolls were shocking. We were playing Cthulhu by Gaslight. Oh, by the way, folks, Evan Monkey Tales Discord games on every day practically, and Wednesday's busy night. It's like about 3 or 4 games run at the same time on the Discord server. If you want to pop over,
Very cool.
yeah, no, it's freaking last night. I near fumbled a few times. It was like,
That's the worst when like the giant creature is coming and you roll so low that like you just fumble the gun and it falls on your feet.
I feel I feel the sanity roll and fainted. My character's like a gentleman former soldier who's been through a couple of adventures now, so shouldn't be shocked. This sort of thing. I was like,
Yeah.
both. Like that was me out for 3 rounds. Like, oh shit.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But the whole setup obviously is Scott. You know, he's driving through Las Vegas on his way to college, and Tammy's broke down, and yeah, that's how they meet. And understandably, he instantly falls in love.
Yeah, I could see it. They picked a good actress for.
She didn't act in anything after that.
Really?
Yeah, I was looking up what else she's been. She's only been in like 3 or 4 movies.
Oh, it's a shame.
She really hasn't done a lot. It was so random.
Yeah. She was very likable, obviously very easy on the eyes, as the kids say.
Absolutely gorgeous. And this is before she put on the magician's assistant outfit, you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, it was good. It was good casting, and I thought they had good chemistry. I like these two a lot better than the from Leprechaun 2. And
yeah, it was hard to get on board with those two, and especially her. And yet that actress has had loads of films.
Go figure. Yeah.
You can't quantify it. You can't quantify somebody's ability or how they fit into the industry. And yeah, like look at today, flip's sake, there's hardly anybody likable.
Yeah.
And in fact, what was it somebody was talking about? Like they should stop doing press junkets. They should stop letting the actors speak because they're actually putting people off the movies. It would actually,
not a bad idea.
If it didn't let the actors promote the movie, they might do better because they're just insufferable twats and just rub you up the wrong way.
It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Go players. I don't know. It's strange times we live in. But yeah, obviously Tommy's running late for work because her bike's broken down, and yeah, Scott gives her a lift, and he's just like, "I love." He may as well have just said, "I love you" straight away.
You can tell he hasn't had much experience. Probably from like a small town. You know,
yeah, that was the whole setup, wasn't it?
Yeah, everybody knows each other. He hasn't really seen a woman that's not, directly related to him in a while.
Do you want us completely unrealistic about this? People are able to walk up and down Las Vegas without getting assaulted by hawkers. That's when you know this is fantasy and the roads being closed off. And all the lights are switched on because modern day Vegas, only half the attractions work and they only switch half them on. And when it's not tourist season, then like nothing works because they're all saving money.
That's fair. That's a good point.
But, oh my God, you cannot walk up and down like Fremont Street or anything without being heckled. And then they all have like little zones they're not allowed to step out or else they start fighting with each other, all the beggars. And you're just like, oh my God, this is bloody stressful. Yeah. And then you go into one of the casinos and they're all pouncing on you. Well, take this leaflet, do that. And you're like, for fuck's sake. How are you meant to relax?
It's funny, the director was saying that when they were filming there were a lot of people that were fans of the Leprechaun from the, I guess the first movie, and the second one had been
Mhm.
out by then. And so they kept like coming over and like wanting to like see what was going on. So he would say like, hey, if you guys want to be in the movie, you know, because he didn't have the budget to hire extras.
Mhm.
So if you guys want to be in the movie, you can. You just have to like, you know, just walk this way and like not stare at the leprechaun, and then you'll be in the background. So he had all these free extras that he never was expecting, just because people were fans of Warwick Davis and were fans of the first two movies. So it actually, you know, gave a lot. If you look at all the background
You
scenes,
mean goodwill towards the fans and actually like a sense of, oh, we're building something here and it's not all just about money,
yeah,
just being part
yeah,
of the experience?
yeah. But he
I,
had no idea that they was that popular already, the franchise. You know,
I was a it really built up a cult following.
it did.
Do you know how funny it is? Most people forget Jennifer Aniston was in it.
Not me.
No,
But
but
no,
you know what I'm
you're right.
saying?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
It's
yeah.
the franchise brand's that strong that she's almost like a forgotten character in the first one.
Yeah.
And it's these sequels that have like really cemented Leprechaun, and it's just it's funny.
Yeah.
Just once again, you can't quantify it, just the way people react, and uh, if something lands, it lands, and
It was,
you can't cook it up in the lab.
yeah. But I just love the tone they set with this, with Elvis coming out of the limo.
That's the best scene in the entire movie.
It's just so great. And the leprechaun does his voice and everything. It's so good.
So we have as this is going on, and Scott, because sort of got this dual plot line going on. So as Scott's chasing after Tommy, and then can I come in the casino and stuff, and he's not 21 yet, and no, you can't, blah blah blah, and then she sneaks him in,
Yeah.
all that kind of good stuff. We've also got the absolute chaos that's going on in the pawn shop across the street.
Right.
And we're just waiting for we know the two storylines are going to converge, but we're just waiting for it to happen. But Gupta is just fighting for his life and just trying to, still make a deal, which is hilarious.
Yeah, he had so many chances to just walk away, and I love that he kept coming back to try to get more of that money.
Yeah, I want half your gold. I'll give you this. Because he realized it was basically like a crucifix, sort of the vampire.
Right.
medallion thing. They even did a bit of
Exactly.
being sick and stuff, which was funny. Like the green stuff coming out, as if it doesn't just turn into stone, but it actually has a different reaction, which is interesting.
Yeah. There's definitely some inconsistencies with the prior leprechauns, but yeah, there was some fun lore that hopefully gets expanded upon in the remaining ones. Yeah.
We don't worry about that in this franchise.
Yeah.
You keep worrying about lore and stuff, and it's like, nah, that's not what we're here for. And that's the thing. It's unapologetic about it. That's why I can get on board.
Right.
It's when something's like, this is super pretentious and super smart, and it turns out to be dumb as hell, and you're like, no, I think you're lying to me.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, as you said, Scott doesn't just go in and like puts down a 20 or 100 or anything. No. He cashes his student loan
check
and just goes balls deep, because that's what you do.
Yeah, I can see it. First time in Vegas, 20 years old. You keep thinking like, oh, I now I have to win it back. Now I can't walk away with 21,000. I had 23,000 a second ago, and it happens. It just keeps spiraling.
Yeah, I've known a lot of gambling. I think that's what put me off gambling early on, because early life I've known a lot of gambling addicts, and when they're up, all the drinks are in them, the life of the party. When they're down, they haven't even got the price of a tube of toothpaste.
Yeah.
And it's that spiral, and it never ends with them. I mean, it's just fidget, and I think it's got worse now with mobile apps and stuff. Like they're, it's bad, to watch that. And I've seen people like put their entire wages away in those stupid slot machines. I hate those things.
Yeah, yeah,
They're just there, clunk, clunk, and then pound coins as well. Not even just dunk, 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 and it goes, and you're just the absolute waste.
yeah. I have a hard time gambling because it takes me so long to earn the amount of money and to just see it go away so quickly.
Yeah,
Like if there was a gambling game that like takes a long time, like that I can get down with because at least you're having some fun. But the ones where like it's instantly gone, like the roulette or something like that, where
yeah,
it's just gone in a second, and you're just watching that. God, that took me like 2 hours, or that took me 3 hours of work or whatever it is,
yep,
and you're just watching it gone just like that. It's just that's painful.
yeah. Professional
Yeah,
gamblers actually set aside a budget, and that's all they spend while the win or lose.
yeah,
That's the way they do it. They have, it starts off small, but as they get, more into it, that say it's $500, that's all they'll spend. It doesn't matter
right.
how much they walk away with. That's it. That's their budget done,
Yeah,
and they walk
that's
away.
the way to do it. Yeah,
And that's what a lot of the sort of ones don't get. It's like if you're gambling, that's what you spend, leave it, and then you don't touch it until what I mean, the next week.
right.
But then again, that's the whole balance, isn't it, between indulgence and compulsion.
Yeah,
I mean, it's all right that like people will have a flutter here on the Grand National and stuff, and they'll never gamble all year, but it's a one-time event.
hmm
But then you've got the ones then the bookmakers every day or every weekend. I mean, they just live there.
but it's weird that the casino, which is obviously cheating its customers, is still not making enough money to pay off its gambling debts.
Yeah, Mitch, that's you have to be bad. How much in debt is he? Mitch, the owner of the casino,
Mitch.
that he has the heavies coming after him for a loan or to
Yeah,
repay a loan. You're kind of like, oh shit, you're in deep. But I'm just surprised that normally if it's any sort of mob thing, right, we want your casino. Usually, you know the way it works.
yeah. But
Or
that's why
this,
this movie was so successful because characters like Mitch, like Gupta, even the two henchmen were
they were great.
hilarious. They were great. And like usually in movies like this, like
Lucky and art.
these are the worst characters, the ones you root against, you don't want to see them on the screen. But that's how good this movie was in successfully delivering a comedic performance by all of these types of people. Those were the best parts with those four.
But once again, back to what you're saying, when there's a good atmosphere, when there's a positive creative energy, that's where you get good things from. Yeah, sometimes you
Yeah,
get bad things, but when there's generally a good creative um collaborative atmosphere and everyone feels like they're there, yes, to do work, that to put the effort in, but they're having a good time doing it. They're not feeling harassed. There's a difference between, as you know, going to a job, doing your day's work and feeling fulfilled, or going to a day's work and you're feeling harassed and stressed,
yeah,
and it's nothing to do with the work. It's people at the end of the day cause it. So in this
yeah, sure.
case, the studio's stepping back and not getting involved.
Yeah. So even though it was a short shoot, it was only 14 days, the director gave time at the end of the day to allow like for, improv. So with the two henchmen in particular, he just let them just say whatever they want. And he's like, I'll see what I can keep. So like that, there was that whole like monologue
Underwear, the
about
underwear
the underwear.
conversation.
Yes. That was not in the script. That was
That's
just
the
the
sort of
two.
shit we do in these streams.
That is.
And I felt them, especially sometimes, like with boxers, they do ride up and they disappear in places they're not meant to go to. But if you try briefs, oh my god, like if you're not used to wearing briefs, crunch.
That is true. But those two guys were great. Oh my god, it was hilarious. I wanted to see more of them. Even when the guy is dying, he's like, what did he say? Like, Judy, not. Oh man, he said his final line before the henchman gets killed by the leprechaun. How was Judy Garland or something like that? Because he's calling him like a munchkin from Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
He's like, say hi to Judy Garland just as he's getting killed. He stops and says that. Oh my god, those
But
guys are the best.
that's when you've got all your ducks in a row. You know what you're
Yeah,
making, you're not trying to overthink it,
yeah.
and everybody's on the same page. That's a big thing. It doesn't matter what it is. if everybody taking parts on the same page, great things happen.
I feel like, especially with comedies more than any other genre, is you need to have time and space to let, creative ingenuity come out. Like the written word is just not where the funniest bits come from. It really has to be in the moment with two people just improvising. In my opinion, it's very hard to write, punchlines, to write jokes successfully. You could write setups successfully, like create scenarios.
Slapstick.
Yeah,
it's very formulaic, but it works.
Right. So, but like scenarios you can do, but actual like verbal, punchlines really has to come in the moment.
Like, over what like 1,500 streams on this channel, videos, etc. And the funniest moments have just been off the cuff. We couldn't plan for it. And it's just been somebody reacting to somebody else or somebody making a comment, and that's it. Boom. And down a rabbit hole we went, and a laugh was had by all.
Yeah.
If you tried to script that, it wouldn't work. It would be so contrived and clunky and horrible.
Yeah.
You can't. You can have an overall theme, like I said, but it's those moments that can only happen in the moment.
Yeah.
You can't make it in the lab. I think that's what the studios have a problem with. And the people that actually finance the movies, they think they can distill this and replicate it 100 times like a fast food meal.
Yeah.
But that's not how entertainment works. That's not how art works.
Yeah. And this had the perfect balance of, it was obviously just silly, but it kept enough semblance of a plot and an attempt at making believe that this is real, that it kept it, cohesive enough. Like, for example, the other extreme is Sharknado, where it was just off the wall, no sense of reality, just completely ridiculous, and it did not work. Whereas this really works,
Well, we'll get the plot device then. How Scott's going to get involved in all this is basically he blows his wad, all his money, and the teller, can't remember what they're called, the croupier, is it?
Oh,
she's a great character. Loretta, she's a great character, anyway. And she goes, "Well, that's a nice watch you have. There's a pawn shop across the street."
Yeah. I think it's just the dealer. I'm not sure what they're called in the. I'm obviously not a gambler.
No, there's names and words and stuff. I'm sure clever people in us will tell us in the comments.
Yeah.
But yeah, she goes, "Oh, that's a nice watch you have. There's a pawn shop across the road, and you can get right back in here." Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah, you get the impression that that's been like a scenario that they've done before, right? Like the pawn shop and them have like a.
Well, there's a reason you open a pawn shop across the road from a casino, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So sure enough, Scott crosses the road to sell his watch because he's an idiot. Like, at that point, you should be really going, yeah, need to figure my life out now. I'm in trouble.
I was with him at that point, though, because at that point, you can't call your parents and say, I lost $23,000 in an hour. You know what? At that point, go for the watch.
Yeah, you just say you got mugged or robbed.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah, go for it. No, nothing else to lose.
Yeah.
So of course he goes in and he meets Gupta. Being taken care of, which is
the artist formerly known as Gupta.
Yeah.
At that point.
And of course he just happens to go across one of the shillings.
That was another funny thing too. So he calls 911 and says there's a dead person here.
Yep.
And then when he comes back to the shop like an hour later, you see like the no crossing police line, do not cross or whatever. And that was it. So the cops in Vegas like came by.
That's another one. Oh well.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? They just put the tape up and they went home. No fingerprints, no like actual police work. They're just like, what are you gonna do?
That's supposed to like, what can you do, sort of thing. And it was the 90s as well, so it's not like the level of CCTV or security that.
Right.
This is back in the day when CCTV was on tape, and half the times weren't changed.
That's true. That was
Yeah,
great,
dear.
though.
But yeah, was it? He wished. The leprechaun appeared. Yeah, the leprechaun appeared at this point again.
So I think the leprechaun appeared and he was always like a little behind because he was like smelling the gold.
Yeah.
So then he could like smell that it was heading towards back to the casino.
But
And
Scott wishes at this point, but did he encounter the leprechaun before he wished?
no, he hadn't seen the leprechaun yet. He only saw him after Fazio robbed him of the coin, left,
right.
and did the smoke, and then the leprechaun walks in delivering the room service food. And that's what he saw.
We'll have to talk about the costumes as well. Like some of the costumes are absolutely mental in this. But yeah, he's just like, I wish I was back in the casino on a winning streak, and sure enough, boom.
Yeah.
And this starts a whole other plot on its own, which is great. Not even involving the leprechaun, but involving Loretta, Fazio, Mitch, Lucky, Art, all the side characters.
They're all fun, right? Yeah. Yeah. Those are almost more fun than the main plot line.
That's what I mean. It starts this whole other thing, and they see the coin, they realize it can grant wishes, or everyone, they don't know at that point it's one wish each, but that just starts this whole thing of robbing Scott of the coin, and then they all start shafting each other. And it just causes absolute chaos.
Yeah, but I like that scene though where the leprechaun comes into the room and sees Scott for the first time and then attacks him, because at that point, if you don't know that Scott is the protagonist, you're thinking, how's he going to get out of this one? Like he's just trapped in the hotel room with him. And I thought that was interesting then when the leprechaun jumped on him and bit his arm, because we hadn't really seen that before. And Colin, good buddy, it got me thinking.
Oh no, you're not doing the thinking thing again.
I'm afraid I am.
Oh dear, you know what that leads to, don't you?
It leads to me looking up to the ceiling for no reason. And something else.
I think I know what that something else is, so let's do it. It's a theory. It's a Chris. It's a theory.
Chris's crazy theory.
Bitey leprechauns. What could possibly be suspicious about bitey leprechauns? Are they meant to bite?
I got my Matrix glasses on, courtesy of the Horrific podcast. So now I'm really ready to block out those crazy rays.
That's it. Those chemtrails can't get you now. You're protected. So this will be absolutely 100% making sense.
Yeah, I actually like that they're like a little crooked, just like my head.
It just adds. It does.
It does. I can fix it, but this is way better.
Why do that? Why do that?
But just to catch up, the audience to what I'm thinking, to climb on board the crazy train. So we got our buddy the leprechaun, and thank you. This is a good example with the what do you call these? The mutton chops on the side and what have you?
Sideburns and mutton chops. Yeah, it's a whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is the part that we're talking about specifically in the hotel room where he bites on Scott's arm. Good old Scotty. And you notice like the long claws or the long nails, which we'll get back to, in the bite. And this is originally what got me thinking a little bit here. This is like what was left over in his arm. The green blood got transferred, and then Scott goes through some changes. Just gonna move this a little bit. Here we go. And so Scott starts going through some changes right away. So just as the audience is up to speed with us, and then keeps going. This is some more changes that he's going through. This, by the way, this face, this is how I react to most danger. And also when Dunkin' Donuts is out of French crullers. But you can see that he's really like having a hard time here.
They were almost trying to go American Werewolf in London, weren't they?
I'm so glad you said that. So look at the mutton chops. Look at the facial features. Look at the bushy eyebrows. That is exactly, and we did not talk about this beforehand, people at home, but that is exactly what I was thinking. American Werewolf in London. So we're on the same page despite our attempts of blocking the rates
dear.
from getting us.
I'll have to relook at this, how they're getting through.
American Werewolf in London, by the way, fun fact, that's the last time our two countries came together and did something good. So is Scott turning into a werewolf? Well, let's look at more evidence. So we see this part in the hospital, and there was hair growing on his belly, very similar to the reaction in American Werewolf in London, just like you pointed out. A lot of similarities going on here, and this is, what got me realizing the truth, which has always been out there, but undiscovered before me. So if you Google werewolf costume, why would you do that? But if you did, if you Google a werewolf costume, this is what you're going to see. This is very typical of what the traditional apparel that a werewolf would have, right? We got the blue jeans, and we got a specific red plaid shirt. This is like almost every time very generic what a werewolf will be wearing. Look at Scott in the hospital. Now, up until now, he's been wearing a blue shirt. If I go back a few slides, I call them slides because I'm from 1990. He had a blue shirt on most of the time. All right. But all of a sudden, when he's like almost fully formed, he is now wearing this red plaid shirt, indicative of a werewolf. All right. Now, granted, this is very tenuous proof, and I'm all about further proof. So let's look at something a little bit more detailed. By the way, this doctor was great.
We'll have to talk about that mental scene.
He was really good. But this is a much stronger piece of evidence. So this was one of the coins that we saw, and I was glad that they zoomed in because I started to do some research. That's what you pay me for, right? To do research. I'm not just here for fun.
Of course not.
So this is an actual this is an actual coin that was, I looked it up and did my research. It was minted around 1806. And if you look at the coin, it says here Carlo or Charles IV. So this was Charles IV. Where's my research? He was the king of Spain and the ruler of the Spanish Empire from 1788 to 1808, which is during that period, which is when this coin was minted. And if you look at some of the other information, this brought to us, of course, by our buddies at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. They're frequent members of the show. Not really. But this is...
They're probably aghast. They're like, we're on that? What? No. They're probably horrified.
But yeah, so interesting thing about this, struck in 1806, that's what they say when they mint the coin. It was during the reign of King Charles IV. This gold has a true representation of the grandeur and significance of colonial era coinage, containing over 2,000 worth of gold value alone. This gorgeous and lustrous coin is one of under 100 known. So there was 100 of these minted, which is 100 gold coins in the what do you call that? The pot of gold.
Yes, that's funny enough. There's 100 coins in the pot.
Those three letter words really throw me sometimes. but listen, why is this important, you ask? I know you're about to ask it. So the reason this is important,
surely the coins would be from all over, not just one location.
But these coins were all the same. They were all from around this time period. And why is this time period important, you ask? Well, during this time period is the first known werewolf writings, starting with Leech Ritchie, who did a short story in 1831 called The Man Wolf. And there was another book written around this time, Hughes the Werewolf by Sutherland Menzies. You've been asking where Sutherland's been. He's been right here writing this. This is the first two modern day tellings of the werewolf. So what I think was happening around this time is that there were sightings of the leprechaun. And as a result, you know how, myths get confused over time. We're only hearing the tales of the survivors, right? So they see the transformation of blood. They see the changing of people. They see the long, sharp nails. They see all this and they're confusing it with the werewolf tale. So they're confusing the leprechauns and werewolf. Now, I can see the doubt in your eyes.
Yeah, I'm like, huh? They're
So-
pretty distinctive. Like
You would think they're distinctive.
so
So
you think back to the original time when people used to think sea lions were mermaids.
I'm not saying they're correct. I'm not saying they're
No,
smart
but that's the
people.
original. I don't know if you're aware of that. The original idea of a mermaid came from were sailors who've been in the sea for too long and quite lonely. Saw sea lions in the distance and thought
The
they
sea
were.
lions are starting to look pretty good at that point.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I mean. The word. That's where the tale of the mermaid came from. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, how long do you have to be at sea? Like what happens there? How many lonely nights does that have to be?
But I think this is what was happening is that they were confusing the two, one for the other. And in order for this theory to hold up, the key element, of course, is, of a werewolf myth is that they can only be killed by silver metal, right? So in order for this theory to hold up, there'd have to be some evidence of metal hurting a leprechaun. And that's exactly what we had in Leprechaun 2, where this Joker, what was his name? Charles? We'll go with Charles. So this guy holding up the metal rod and
Is that
attacking.
iron?
It was iron or lead, but again, people can misconstrue things. But the point was like this is all part of the myth that only metal can harm a leprechaun, only metal can harm a werewolf. You look at all the facial features, you look at the claws, you look at the transformation, and this is what I think happened. Now, listen, I'm not saying that leprechauns are werewolves, right? I mean, that would be crazy.
Yeah,
that would be utterly daft. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is, and stay with me, you're damn right I'm saying it. Leprechauns are werewolves. And that's my theory.
Ow! There you go, folks.
It's a theory. It's a Chris. It's a theory. Crazy Chris. Crazy Chris. Crazy Chris. Chris's crazy theory.
Easy mistake to make. I get it. Oh man. Yeah, it was amazing though how similar they were. You can tell there was inspiration.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
The director is Brad Smith is a fan of movies. That comes across as well, I think, with this series.
Yeah. But we
You're
haven't
seeing-
seen that before. We haven't seen like where the bite, transforms. So that was kind of an interesting. I don't think we need to have consistent canon from movie to movie. So I enjoy when they change things up.
Your early theory is the fact that there's more than one leprechaun, it's not the same one.
Right.
Then each one could have their own abilities and properties.
Right. And
Different
Scott,
abilities.
Scott, at one point after he's transformed, I think the leprechaun says, come with me, brother.
Mhm.
And then Scott says something to the effect of, you're a renegade, which I thought was an interesting, take. At that point, he's almost transforming into a leprechaun himself. So he might have some like insider knowledge. And for him to call the leprechaun a renegade is almost like he's like going.
Is this almost like vampires, when they drink the blood, they can actually get the memories? Like Underworld?
Yeah. Yeah.
You thinking like that?
It could be something like that. So we'll see if there's anything in the future ones. But again, it changes from movie to movie, so it's hard to keep up.
Do you think that's something you've we're 3 movies in now, and after you're new to the franchise, do you think that's something that has kept this going? Is that they don't worry about this overarching storyline or trying to tie itself up in knots? And it's almost like new adventure, start again. Could be the same leprechaun, could not be. Could be related, could not be. Could all be happening at the same time. Could be a certain distance apart. When we did the Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger and film stream, that was a massive thing about Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, was the timeline didn't add up.
Yeah.
When Jesse came on board, as I'm moving into the street, it was all too recent for everyone to just have forgotten.
Gotcha.
But they didn't do it at style where, like Derry, people lose their memories because of the magic and never brought that in. So it was just clunky. They're trying to tie it together, but they didn't. And it gets really clunky and confusing, which is why that second movie is really jarring to a lot of people as a sequel.
Yeah.
Because it
I
really
think
sticks out like a sore thumb to the franchise, where with Leprechaun, they don't bother.
I think that's part of it. I think it's difficult when you're making a movie, like you can't really think 7 or 8 movies down the line. Like you don't know if the first one's going to be successful. So I don't blame directors and writers for things like the Freddy Krueger movies. Like they couldn't have possibly foresaw down the road and have everything link up. Having said that, I do think there's a responsibility for those types of movies, that the future ones do have to do a better job of trying to work backwards and have everything fit. Whereas in a movie like
sometimes if
this,
you're making a franchise, you need a lore master. I think we've talked about this on the
yeah,
channel. If once you start going more than 2 movies in a series or adding a TV series or any sort of property, once it becomes a franchise and that's what you're trying to push, you need a lore master. You need somebody who has overarching control of the lore and everything goes through them.
right.
That's and it's only one job, and it doesn't have to be. It could be contractual if that makes sense. So you're not paying somebody a wage just to sit there and twiddle their thumbs. You just somebody has that title or a team, and that's what they do. They make sure everything goes through, remains canon.
Yeah.
I mean, you think
I
of all the
prefer that.
stupid jobs people have in the entertainment industry, like intimacy coordinators and all that kind of nonsense now that have all popped up.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like they're quite happy paying people a wage to do nothing, little to nothing. Because if you're dealing with grown-ups in a room, then people can have a conversation and not need somebody specifically paid. But they won't spend money or put resources into keeping the story right, which is I don't get it. I don't understand. It's one of my bugbears. One of the reasons why I think Hollywood has to burn and die now, because it's gone too far. Needs to just die as an entity and let something else rise up from the ashes, so to speak. But with these movies, each one's different, but it's a Leprechaun.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you're in a completely different movie.
Yeah, and in a way it works because someone coming into the first time not having seen the previous ones, it doesn't matter because it's changed anyway. So I do think that helps, especially in the beginning of the movie where you don't have to get into exposition and reminding the people about what happened in the past. So I do think it works from that level, that it's on an entry point. It's a lot easier to jump into Leprechaun 3 than it is, Nightmare on Elm Street 3 or something like that. Yeah. So I think it works on that level, but I think it's more importantly just the fact that they're not focused on anything tangible. Like there's no connection to the prior movies, and it's really just, it tells you as a viewer, don't worry about it. Just put your brain on hold for an hour and a half and just relax and just laugh.
Yeah, we're here to have fun.
We're here to have fun.
Yep.
Yeah, and you feel that as an audience member, so it works. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have this whole thing happening as well with Mitch, obviously, that he's in for a lot of money. We'll find out what Tommy's job is. We'll meet Fazio, who's just an absolute lizard. He's great, horrible. He's not even a good Mitch. He's just bad all around. But his character's funny. Like, he was well played by the actor, but just fits in. He's just. And when he does the first performance, like there's about 5 people in the thing. It's one of them sort of tragic, performances. Which, yeah, why not?
But I love that there was one member it was a 3-person table, and it was a middle-aged woman who was so excited by the magic. Even though there was only 5 people in the entire theater, that one woman was like really into it.
She's a super fan, yeah.
She's a super fan. That made me laugh.
Ah, dear. But yeah, Loretta then sees Scott's back and he's in a winning streak, and she's trying to cheat with the magic button. And Mitch is like, "You better sort this out, or I'm going to sort you out."
Yeah.
Sort of thing. You're like, right, okay.
You get the impression this has gone on a while.
Yeah.
Right. This is not like a one-time thing that he's gotten into trouble.
It's interesting the amounts of money. Like when you think of inflation, like what's 23 grand in the scheme of things? What's 100 grand in the scheme of things? Like that's barely a drop in the ocean. Nice to have, but it's not life changing now.
Yeah, for casino especially. Right?
Oh, casino flip's like even today or back then, the stupid amounts of money that goes through.
Yeah.
And is there not a thing as well that they let people win? They need big winners sometimes to keep the illusion alive?
I've heard that too. Yeah. Yeah.
It was just interesting the amounts of money they're talking about and you're kind of like, right, okay. Getting a wee bit overexcited, but
I guess when he needed to, a lot of money quickly to pay off the the debtor by 10 p.m. Like any little blip, any setback, which normally wouldn't be a big deal because you just make it back the next day. But he needed a quick amount. They didn't tell you what amount, so that
no, it didn't. It was very ambiguous about it.
Yeah. So that could have been, why he was so on edge, I guess. Yeah.
But it all works at the end of the day. You don't, like I said,
absolutely.
You don't overthink it. It's just, and it's done in such a comedic way that you're not getting annoyed by it. You're just like, oh, right, that's another bit of the plot. We're here for a laugh. It's just one of them, like, Carry On movies, Carry On Screaming and stuff. It's just a ridiculous plot line to keep us going. And it works.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, they'll come up with a plan then. They're going to basically set Scott up, close the table down, tell him go take a break. Here, have the hospitality. You're such a great winner. Basically, they're going to rob him and fleece him.
Yeah, which is interesting. I never thought about that. But if you get comped a room, is that a potential issue where someone's going to rob you that is unrelated to the casino?
Like, I think there's every possibility.
I never thought about that. I always thought like they comped you because they want you to stay and spend more money to try
go back
to
in and have another go. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, is that not why they give away free drinks in some casinos? If you're staying at the hotel, you'll sit at the machine or at the table and you get free drinks. So because basically you're glugging away and then you're not focused.
Make bad decisions. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. But I never thought about the comped room as an enticement maybe to get robbed. But that actually kind of makes sense.
You can kind of see it was going. I don't know what Mitch was thinking about exactly, but Loretta definitely was.
I think Mitch was, because after he gives him the comped room and the kid takes it, he says, "What a schmuck." So I think there was an idea that was going to happen, whether it was Fazio or Mitch doing it.
I think it was probably, if it was going to be Mitch, or he's going to send his daughters up to help him collect it. Something was going to happen, but Loretta beat him to the chase because she saw how the coin worked.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where the whole plot line started up.
Oh my God, her wish was hilarious. She was supposed to turn into a 20-year-old woman, but, and I don't mean to be mean to the actress, lovely actress, I'm sure a wonderful person, but it looked like a 40-year-old actress just cutting her hair. That's really what it was.
Yeah, but at the same time, it shows how unmade up she was before she got made up.
Right. That was hilarious.
But what we're going to do, like, completely change her, have another actress brought in?
Yeah, I guess. But I like the way the Leprechaun got her. She went out.
It was great. But yeah, they try to basically make a deal. She makes a deal with Fazio. You can have the money. I want the coin. And somehow they didn't get the money. They come up and like absolute dingleberries. Can't even rob a hotel room that was set up to be robbed. And I love the way like you said, he just does the flash thing to escape, and there's no need for that whatsoever.
Not what you saw him the whole time.
And
He's wearing the same outfit that he is in the poster.
yeah,
in the
like
hotel
what was he thinking was going to happen?
Couldn't even put like a mask on or nothing.
Mhm.
It's so great.
And then obviously after he gets robbed of the coin, this is where Scott encounters a leprechaun. And gets
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we get this whole other plot line happening now as well. That Scott's encountered the leprechaun. He's been bitten. He just throws him out the window.
Yeah.
That was great.
And then he calls the hotel security,
Yeah.
and he's surprised when they don't take him seriously.
Or the fact that I haven't had 100 calls, I guess, being in Vegas.
Yeah.
Somebody's on the disco biscuits. Again. Yeah. So, of course, he goes down to meet Tommy and then realizes who Fazio is. And that starts that whole thing. Did he get the coin back at this point, or did Loretta get it?
So Fazio had the coin, and yeah, how did Loretta get it from him? Because Loretta had her wish before Fazio.
Oh,
she just took it from him?
She took it from him. She made her wish, and then Fazio nicked it off her, and then Scott went to confront Fazio.
That's what happened. Right. Yeah.
Then the leprechaun appears, but Tommy takes Scott to the hospital.
Oh, Mitch got his wish first. Mitch wished that Tammy would be with
Jiggy.
Yeah. Which I kind of feel bad.
Did Mitch get the coin? I only watched this yesterday. Holy crap.
I know. So I think
there's too much. There's a lot happening. That's the thing. This is actually really fast paced, and there's a lot happening, and it's sort of blink and you miss it.
Yeah. So Fazio stole it from Scott's room, and then
Loretta took it off Fazio.
And then Mitch said, "Your property is mine until you get the money back from Scott."
And got it off Loretta.
And just happened to be holding it when he made that statement. Oh, I could have Tammy or something like that. Like Tammy would be with me. And then Tammy walks over because she's under the spell. I actually felt really bad for all the people that made their wish. If you think about it, with the exception of Scott, who walks away with the money at the end of the movie, no one really got their wish.
But is that like the whole point of be careful what you wish for? And if you wish for something literally.
But you'd like to have it a little bit longer before you get killed, Like they didn't really get to enjoy their wish very long before they got killed. Like Mitch, she kissed him a couple times, but then she also slapped him a couple times. And then just when they get back to the room, she breaks out of the spell because another wish was made.
Mm-hmm.
And then Loretta, she got to enjoy a couple people looking at her quickly as a 20-year-old, and then she got killed. And even the magician doesn't really get to.
His act was terrible.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like these wishes were terrible.
But then that's the whole point. They're twisted. They're not meant to. That's the whole warning of wishes, isn't it? And not just knuckling down and doing that. That's been the warning since all time, even from the genie. And where do we get into the Wishmaster series? You're going to love that.
Okay.
That's 100% what that's all about. And yeah, it's be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. That's the oldest warning since the dawn of time. People live in pipe dreams and they're not actually living in the real world.
Right.
And it's not healthy for a start, but is it really what you want? What is it actually you want? People won't be introspective and look inside and actually get the root cause of what their unhappiness is. Because that's usually why you make wishes, isn't it?
Yeah. Those were all terrible wishes too. You don't want
Very
to wish for
shallow and hollow and
absolutely. Don't you want to wish for like a family member to come back from the dead or eternal life or I don't know, something like more grandiose than I want to be 20 years old. Okay, you're 20 years old and then 10 years later you're 30 again. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all. But once again, it's all very shallow and it just shows the people that live from the moment and they don't no introspection, and that's
Yeah.
that's the word. Look at today. For flip's sake, these people are more nuanced than a lot of social media users.
Yeah.
Let's be
That's
honest.
That's true. That's very indicative of today. That's true.
Yeah. But yeah, Loretta, when he twists her wish, and she just looks like celebrities today with bad plastic
I was,
surgery.
I was thinking the same thing. like 2 seconds before she died,
She looked like
I was
Madonna.
I was like, this is the look that people would really want today. A lot of the women today, the giant lips and the giant
And the giant bum, the bum filler that they're like that's just ridiculous proportions.
It was supposed to be that she was like, this is a horrible thing that's happened to her, like right before she died, of course. But I was thinking like, oh no, this is actually what
If she walked away like that today, she'd be
Yeah.
in every cover
exactly.
of every magazine. It would be strange. It's a strange thing, fashion,
Yeah.
isn't it? That's why I avoid it at all costs. But I love the umbrella. He just gets out the parasol.
Yeah.
Like Warwick Davis absolutely owns this role.
He crushed it in this one too. Comedic timing, just his line readings, everything in this was just perfect.
Mhm.
Perfect comedic gold, as they say.
Yep.
Yeah.
And of course, then we'll have Fazio. I think that was the best kill.
Oh, that was perfect.
I think that was the best kill in the whole movie because
Absolutely.
you knew what was going to happen, but still, just the way it was executed was great.
Yeah. And he totally deserved it. He was willing to do a fire trick and risk Tammy's life earlier in the movie. He was, he was.
We knew that flamethrower was going to come in later as well. That was a bit of a setup.
Yeah. But he was given multiple chances by the Leprechaun. He's like, just tell me where the gold is. And he refused to, even though he's in the box. He's like, he has to see it coming. I mean, Fazio absolutely deserved it. It was so good though, with the audience watching to get chainsawed in half. Oh, that's perfect.
And the opening the box and spreading everybody and stuff. I was like, oh my God.
That was fantastic.
Such classic movie. Like, this is why digital blood should be illegal. Because you don't get scenes like this. You don't get that reaction.
Yeah.
And whatever special concoction the makeup the special effects team have made up, that's indicative of that movie franchise of that particular creator.
Yeah.
Just great. Everyone's like sort of thinking it's part of the act until they realize it isn't.
That one super fan was going to stay to the end.
But the hospital scene as well will have that sort of bouncing back and forward.
Yes. That was great too.
Scott's transformation, but I love the way the doctor finds the money.
Oh my gosh. And just the way he even said, this question is going to determine whether you live or die. Do you have health insurance?
God, American healthcare. I didn't realize this until I was over your side of the pond, but you have social workers in hospital to assure people they're covered, like to give emotional support. It's okay, you're covered by insurance to help with the healing process. It's like, bloody hell. Your system works fine until somebody actually gets really sick. That's the thing. It's okay for like surface level, cuts and grazes sort of thing. But if somebody's actually deeply sick, that's where, like any insurance company, they'll send you certain providers, do this and that, and it's horrible.
Yeah, I mean the doctors have that that motto. I'm blanking on the name of it, but it do no harm. It's a Latin.
The Hippocratic Oath.
Hippocratic Oath. Yeah. So I do think that they still try to help you regardless, but then you're just in debt the rest of your life. You have to do like a GoFundMe to try to like pay back the bills. So, yes, you're healed, but now you're in debt the rest of your life. So
it's and that's all about the provider and stuff. I've seen insurance, with use certain contractors and that, and if it doesn't fall in that line, and they'll try and deal you out of it, and it's all You get it, but then there's people put in false claims and they think it's a whole dirty thing. There's no real one is the causality of another thing. So there's no like
Mm.
straight out villain, straight out good guy in the whole insurance thing. It's just
Yeah.
it's just built up over time, just with people being shit
Right.
on
Yeah.
either side of the aisle, and yeah, just it's a mess.
If people were moral, the system would work good.
Well, that's like any system, isn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the name of the system. People are always going to screw it up because that's just what people do. And if somebody can see a loophole or take advantage, they never go a little bit to let the system. They never think of keeping the long game. It's always about the short term, get as much as I can, and that's what then starts the overreaction, and then the overreaction, and then it just escalates.
Yeah.
It was a legal system, and everything else. It's always gets added on due to incidents.
Yeah.
Health and safety, everything else, everything's been layered upon layer because something's happened. And it's just human nature. That's why I don't get upset about the world, as in things like that. And I don't think tearing everything down and rebuilding is going to work because people will inevitably be people. And I'll just end up in the same way again.
Except for Hollywood. That we could tear down and try again.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that just needs to naturally. But there's this thing. Do you know why companies used to break up and fail because they didn't have the right products or built up or got bought? It seems to be none of that now. It's like things are propping things up for the sake of it. And it's just products getting worse. But sometimes a company, especially a company, needs to fail. If you don't provide what the customer wants, well, sorry. Hopefully in the new year when we provide Horrific Tales Volume 1, it will be what you want, folks.
Wow.
And you will.
That was a professional.
You'll keep our little enterprise afloat in our first outing.
That was a professional segue.
Was that all right? That was all right, wasn't it?
Where's hit the button? There's got to be a button for the applause.
Oh, well one. That one.
Nice.
Oh god, that's way too long.
Wow, that's
a long one. Holy crap!
Standing ovation. Wow, I didn't
bloody hell, that was a bit overreaction there. But yeah, the whole scene with the instead of just sticking the money in their pockets, like, well, they could afford an MRI. We could do this. We could do that. Oh, I'm golfing on Thursdays. I can take Thursday. It's only $100,000.
I know.
We had a TV show back in the day called Bullseye. It was a contestant and a darts player teamed up. The contestant answered questions, and the darts player got so many goes to win points. It was a strange show, and the host Jim Bowen, RIP, he's long gone now. He was like a legend of British TV. But they'd have this thing where they'd win so much money, and say it would be £150, right? And it'd be like, we'll just take a commercial break while I count this money. It'll be like 55 notes or something, I was like, that was always a running joke. It takes you, 2 minutes to count that amount? What? If it was like slates of money being handed over, yeah, but it's like a handful of money. Oh, we're going to have to take a commercial break while I count this.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
And that scene in the hospital brought me back to that. But we'll have to talk about the Leprechaun's costume.
Oh my gosh.
He dresses up as in the scrubs as if nobody notices. I just thought fucking clipboard and all. Like, why bother? He's been walking about, but it's just like, yeah, stop it, I'm going to do
it. That was awesome. I tell you, he was great in this. Every beat was perfect. I could see why he found this to be his favorite one, which does make me sad though, because I'm hoping the next one is going to be just as good.
Next one's funny. It is mental. But you can just tell with the vibe. It's not just the actual the end product. It's just the whole vibe of this movie is like everyone's there enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's more important. They're not thinking of their artistic brilliance. They're thinking, I did this movie and it was actually fun to be on and not a balls ache. And especially if you're wearing prosthetics.
Right.
Oh, yeah. That's got to be torture.
Yeah, I think the director said in the beginning, it was like 3.5 hours every day, and then 10 to 12 hour shoot, and then 45 minutes to take the makeup off.
Yeah, because you can't
Then
just.
because it's all glued.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he said they got it down to 2.5 hours, but still 2.5 hours where you're eating or drinking through a straw, reading the newspaper every day, even though it's only 14 days of shooting, but still, that's that's terrible. Yeah.
There's sometimes I've dressed up in streaming, done masks, and even after an hour or two wearing a mask, I'm starting to feel it and like going, I want to take this off. It's starting to rub and stuff.
Yeah.
The one to do from Workborg just sits over my nose right there. And see, like the hour and a half period, it's just rubbing on my nose. And I'm like, I can't scratch, can't lift it off. And I start becoming conscious of it. Like a stone in your shoe. I'm like,
yeah.
That one, I tried for one session and I gave up because my face was boiling. The other, you can't see it just down, but the other one, the skeleton one, was horrible as well. I didn't even last the stream with that. We did for Halloween one time, the skeleton one with the bug eyes.
Yeah.
Oh god, that was horrible. So imagine that, like proper latex glued to you.
Yeah. And the fact that he's put up with this for seven movies or 8 movies, something like that.
Yes, I think it's 7 movies.
Yeah.
Or is Back to the Hood 2 is the 8th? Definitely 7 movies, possibly an 8th. I think Back to the Hood 2 is the 8th movie.
Yeah. Credit to him for putting up with that. That's great.
Oh, they're fun. You'll love those. Dear. No, it's not the I remember I told you that the first one was the worst of the franchise.
Yes.
Are you seeing where I'm coming from?
Yeah, it had to find its niche. Is it going to be horror? Is it going to be comedy? Is it going to be serious? Is it going to be silly? It's definitely found it in this movie. This was my favorite of the 3. This was just hilarious. Yeah.
Even though we'll have stunt boobies again.
We do have stunt boobies.
Because obviously the main actors can't show her bits because that's. Remember that was so uncouth back in the day. If if you were a serious star, you never showed it all. You always kept a bit hidden.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm trying.
Now everyone has an OnlyFans account.
That's a good point.
I still haven't worked out. How does it? I've never had the interest to pay someone just to look at their bits.
No.
Nah.
The options that are available on the internet these days.
Yeah, basically, I was like, nah.
Not that I would know, but I've heard people say.
Well, like I said, we all started in like Windows 95, and that was the only thing that popped up at times. It just took over. It's funny.
Exactly.
Like I said, it was the Wild West. Anything went. I was like, whoa! Like I had no choice sometimes. Never mind being a curious, horny teenager. It's like, you will watch this stuff. Boom, boom, boom. And remember the pop-ups would just.
Yeah.
Like the boot disk was your friend because sometimes you're just like, right, rebooting again. I don't know how many viruses that was. I'm rebooting. Dear. Yeah, they finally go back. Scott starts to transform into the Leprechaun, and in fairness, they didn't give him better limericks. I like that. I like that he didn't have better limericks because he was the less experienced Leprechaun.
Yes, those you got to save those for Warwick Davis. What was the one he said? That was a dirty trick. Now I'm going to chop off your dick.
Yeah.
I mean, there were better ones than that, but that's the one that I remember.
I think because
I'm a child.
I think because they fitted in with the script.
Yeah.
They weren't like a standalone thing. Like the first 2 movies, the limericks were almost off to the side, like a monologue, where he's throwing them in now, and actually given the appropriate emotion to go along with it. He's getting annoyed and angry and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole setup. Of course, the CD-ROM's still playing when they run back to the shop. The gold's a power and stuff, and Scott nearly gets tempted.
Yeah.
And then they realize, I know, we'll just melt the gold.
It melted awfully quickly, didn't it?
Gold does have a low.
You did. You said You said that in a previous.
Yes, and a flame. You can melt gold in the oven.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I thought it was awfully quick with the flamethrower, but
no, it's actually gold doll is easy to melt. That's why it's
right.
let's just say certain gold bars with certain stamps on them from the 20th century have found themselves getting melted down into different gold bars without the naughty stamp on them from the 20th century. Late 1930s Germany stamp, of naughtiness.
I'm not familiar. What happened around that time?
Oh, right. There was a lot of that going about. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That was the thing with gold. One of the good things and one of the bad things. That's why it's majorly regulated as well.
Gotcha.
And then
I thought it was a good ending. I feel like it wasn't necessarily a great battle between the two of them.
I think we had enough. The sort of Scott turning into a Leprechaun was a bit of a weak point, but I'm glad that he didn't turn out to be a better Leprechaun than the Leprechaun. He's almost like a hybrid. I don't think that's how Leprechauns are made.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy with.
Yeah. It could have used a little bit more as far as like a battle or something, more pronounced. It was kind of quick once he made the decision to not succumb to the gold.
Yeah.
It kind of happened quickly, but I was fine with it. And I kind of like the way it ended. I like that
we've done this. We've had the protracted fights. Like Leprechaun 2 went on for ages.
That one was probably too long.
But I think we had enough here with the other stories, with the other characters, just to make it was just a fun romp.
It's fair.
So I was happy, actually. I didn't need a big, massive battle because they've bumped against each other loads of times. And the fact that they got distracted, it was basically the coin he's chasing, not Scott. And that's it. And all that kind of stuff. I was glad it was in the movie because we're just not going through a formulaic process of the same movie regurgitated.
Yeah. That's fair. And I like the ending. I like that they decided not to use the wish. Like they kind of learned their lesson. Because any wish is going to turn.
And they didn't use the amulet this time.
Right.
So even though the amulet was a setup, the managed to flip it on its head and go a different direction.
Yeah. But they had a coin. They could have done one more wish and she gets rid of it, which I like because they learned their lesson. And also, he did get to walk away with like 100,000 in cash. He still had the cash in his jacket, I think.
Had a new girlfriend.
And pretty attractive girlfriend. Who could fit into a magic box. Has a magician's assistant's experience. And that goes a long way, Colin. Absolutely. I'll get into that. I'll get into that on a different channel.
But there you go, folks. There's that. A lot of fun as always. We are talking about Kindred the Embraced next.
Yes, I apologize to the fans. We will
pesky deliveries taking ages.
Yeah, that's on me. I apologize. We will get that set up for next stream. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, we're doing it was an 8-part TV show. We're going to do the first 4 parts in preparation for our game, which we're streaming the session 0 this Sunday.
Yes. I'll see you Sunday.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we will be on Evil Eye this Sunday for Vampire the Masquerade, What We Do in the Shadows edition, which is going to be a lot of fun playing about with that.
Yeah.
That's something I wanted to rope Dale into, but unfortunately the timings wouldn't work. It'd be like 3 a.m. in New Zealand. I don't think she's that keen. I know she's a star for turning up, but as it is, like it's early doors in the morning when we do our stream together.
Yeah.
But I think that would be a bit much, like for anyone. But yeah, we're doing that, and of course we will be back again for Kindred, so that'll keep it all in the same thing. So just as I say, thanks everyone for tuning in, and until next time, keep updated with the channel, do the type of clicky things, and remember to keep it creepy, keep it horrific.